Hi, everyone. I'm Matija, the CEO and co-founder of Farseer. We are financial modeling, planning, and analytics tool in the cloud. And today we're going to go through a demo that will showcase our new product version and go through a really shortened version of how we create model in Farseer, how some things can be easily added, changed, how you can create different reports, share it with your colleagues. They can enter their version of the plan, and also show some versions that are really new to the V3, which are basically automatic forecasting based on machine learning and statistical methods. And this multi-dimensional type of planning, which is super interesting for companies that do production and distribution of products and have several dimensions that they use and several variables that they use for planning their products. And we will also show how you can top down or bottom up all your numbers to come to this joint consolidated version of the plan, and import actuals, compare with that plan, and actually showcase all that data in table reports and graphs. And there will be time for questions after the demo, so really looking forward to it. So just briefly to get this name thing cleared out, because we get asked a lot about the name, and it's actually a prophet. So it's a very fancy way of saying prophet, or somebody who can see into the future, and that's sort of our product vision, to be this magical spreadsheet that can read the future and that can be used in all these crazy ways with reversed formulas, with circular references. And, we're just breaking all the rules of a standard spreadsheet, but with the spreadsheet that we developed, and which is specialized for financial modeling and planning. And basically, as I said, we covered this whole sort of range of activities that are very important for people in controlling and finance, but also for business people, right? Because today, more than ever, you need to plan meticulously and be ready, for at least two scenarios in terms of your markets, your volume, your marketing cost that goes with it. And, planning operational costs is always an easy game. But everything else is really, there's some sort of magic to it. And we really built Farseer daily and day in and day out to support all these scenarios for our clients. And today we will see how you can really create your model super fast and create changes in a very fast way. How we can create an automatic forecast, share all of the planning positions to your teammates. Everybody can enter their version of the plan. They can do it top down or bottom up. And actually, in the end, you can check all the data in an interactive dashboard. Briefly about us, we were founded a year ago. And at the moment, we're 15 people. We're sort of divided between product team and customer success team. And our offices are here in Zagreb, where I'm dialing in from today, and London. And in the past year, we won some major startup competitions. But more importantly, by the logos you can see below, we're really proud to have these companies as our clients, because they're really spearheading their particular industries in the region. And lately we have been working with foreign clients as well. And our goal is just to further develop European market, and hopefully other ones with time as well. The whole story of Farseer started sort of through our own misery, because Zrinko, one of the co-founders of Farseer, started the whole concept to sort of cure mine and his pains from a telecom company, where we had this elaborate planning and forecasting processes, German style controlling, and 100 of people participating in these huge spreadsheets that had 60, 70, 80 sheets. And it was so ludicrous that by the time we would get the forecast done, the actuals were already coming in, you know, so it was really this whole folklore that was very inefficient. And his first version started a few years ago, still in the telecom, and sort of from that Farseer evolved, and two other co-founders, Matija and Luka, joined us to sort of fight this a general problem of people making Excel something that it's not meant to do and to be. And Excel is a phenomenal tool. We use it all the time, but it's great for doing some quick data analysis. And it's even great for doing a simple business plan, right? Because if you have 2 or 3 people that need to agree on some numbers, it works fine. But if, you know, we have clients that have gigabytes of Excel for planning. So that's just a ludicrous situation where you have intertwined formulas, interconnected documents, macros. And recently we were at a presentation where a client told us that they bought machines that are used for mining Bitcoins in order to run their planning Excels. So you can grasp how severe this problem is on a global level. And basically the sort of alternative to Excel were the big, you know, heavy enterprise planning systems, which are really ancient, actually. You know, IBM Cognos is from 1981, so it's older than Excel even. And SAP and Oracle Hyperion, who's dominating the market, have this, you know, firm grip over the enterprise buyers. And if you check their revenue financial reports, actually, you can see that 50% of their revenue is services, which is, you know, maintenance, change requests, consultant hours. And Farseer is battling Excel, which is a really nice shiny grandma in this picture, right? Because we don't have anything against Excel, but in, you know, in this specific domain of planning, we really believe we can beat them. But we're also fighting these old, robust legacy systems, which are legacy not only in technology, but they're legacy also in approach, where they charge hefty sums for the projects, and then every change, every field, every, you know, formula that you need to add is a few thousand euros or more. What we wanted to achieve with Farseer is actually create these Lego bricks that users can, you know, connect and really build super simple models, but also build huge corporate planning models that can support everything from operating costs, margin planning, product prices, you know, whole revenue modeling and beyond, cash flow, balance sheet, and just, you know, to enable easy reading of actuals, which we will see today as well in the demo, and connect that and show that in really beautiful interactive dashboards. So Farseer is really agnostic. It's not very industry specific. It's not scenario specific. Basically, you can build any type of financial model in it. And just one brief slide about the technology, because it's much more important what the clients get from it. But I think it's important to say that everything is proprietary technology built right here in Zagreb. And we have this robust calculation engine that's sort of the underlying power of the whole system. And, you know, from day one, Farseer was built for cloud. So it's a big advantage compared to these legacy systems. But we also support, you know, very specific approach with our own spreadsheet on top of this calculation engine. And because that spreadsheet has an underlying database, you can define user permissions and rights, share, you know, create several versions on every plan item, create a certain hierarchy, which you will see all later in the demo. And sort of this spine top layer is when the model is built in the spreadsheet part, then you can really create detailed analytics. You can define the planning process, tasks, approvals, and similar. You can do what-if simulations, top-down propagations, and all these nice and neat things that come after you build your model. So today's demo, we're going to see Bubbles, which is a company that you can find on our website. And it's actually imaginary company with real world problems, because we meet a lot of companies, and we sort of came to the conclusion that the easiest way for our web visitors and maybe even webinar visitors to follow this scenarios is to imagine a real company and map it to something familiar. So this company actually produces and distributes several product categories of beauty products, and they do it in 3 markets and in 3 channels. And we will actually see that all during the demo, but just a quick intro on what it really is. So the standard scenarios in Farseer, today we're just going to see one example, but standard scenarios are really company-wide budgeting, which can be bottom-up planning. It can be, entering any kind of revenue plan or unit plan that is connected to the revenue. And this standard sort of corporate planning process, which can then be supported by reading the actuals and comparing the plan with the actuals. The second sort of domain is very operational FP&A, and this one doesn't exclude the other. They can be combined, sort of to follow our Lego analogy. You can create really detailed HR plan on every level, every person, several plan items or accounts for every person can be planned. You can do demand planning. You can create business cases that can roll up to the entire budget, so you don't have that disparity that you normally have in corporations. You can do profitability analysis, and really these sort of advanced scenarios again can go together with the previous 2. But you can then create a cash flow plan and forecasting from your P&L plan. You can do top-down planning, something that we will see today, and do these what-if scenarios in which you can move certain drivers and see how they affect your financial plan or certain set of financial KPIs. Okay, so we will switch actually first to this sort of thing that Bubbles was before Bubbles met Farseer. And as I said, these are all real stories, but it's very ungrateful to use real data. So this is some sort of anonymized type of a thing where we really meet on daily basis things like this, companies that are drowning in Excel hell, and it's super difficult to connect all these moving parts. And it's especially difficult to offer what today's business environment requires, which is super fast reaction, which means, I can just move a few knobs and I can get immediately a change of the entire financial model. And I can maybe even do automatic forecasting with machine learning in the background and get some projections as my first round of planning. All of that is just impossible when you have a situation like this. I mean, just so it kind of sticks with you. These are the things, that we encounter, and you have prettier ones and then less pretty ones. And, in the end, Excel is great because you can do everything in it. But from the other hand, it's horrible because you can do everything in it. And so our bubbles sort of came from this to this centralized financial model in the cloud. And Farseer is a web application. As you can see, I just enter a certain link, and as a user, I have my own username and my own password, and I log in. And as I log into Farseer, I'm greeted by my dashboard, which reflects my data from the financial model, which is really, a cool thing and a big victory, I would say, over Excel, because with Excel, you either have to allow everybody to see everything, or you have to send individual spreadsheets via email or put it on some drive for everybody, their own drive, and then sort of connect them and glue them together and hope nobody screwed up in that process, which is borderline impossible. So In Farseer, the user can expose any part of the model, and this is very fluid, and I can play around with it and switch around these little snippets and reports. But as a user, I can only expose a part of financial model that I am entitled to. So if I, as a user, am entitled to planning and seeing the numbers for Europe, this is exactly what I can get when I want to add some tile. I can add charts like you see here. I can add table reports. I can add single values like you see here. Simulations, which means I can pull out any variable from the financial model and use it to simulate and see the impacts on the model. And I can create some sort of slicer that then slices all the data on the dashboard. And we can really go through this a little bit so you get a picture of what can all be inside. Even though graphs are really nice, the thing that we get asked most by our clients is sort of these table reports, which are great for also us to get a quick intro into our model. So here we have a product profitability report, and we have a slicer. Here we have our product groups. We have the volume, we have the revenue, we have the cost of goods sold for all these products, and then we have the gross margin for every category. And in the columns, we have plan, actual, and sort of plan versus actual. And all of this is super easy to create because Farseer automatically or inherently supports versions and time. So planning always goes in versions, always goes in time, and we built that into the system. So here we have Europe, other markets, and US. I can always filter it. I can just add US as well, and now the numbers will recalculate and show all three markets. But I can also, do different things and add 2022, but we don't have actuals yet, so I will unclick this. So now I have plan for 2023, but I can put it on quarters and maybe just leave 222. So I can really switch between all these versions, add a calculation and some difference between them, and switch here between these sort of aggregations and years. So it's a super fast, super easy way to get any kind of data from the model itself. And we can dive into our central part of this whole story, which is actually the model. And we will probably go back to the dashboard if time allows. But the really interesting part for me is always this model module, as we call it. And this is the architecture of your financial model. This is where the model is built, and this is where the users enter their numbers. So here in this upper part, you can see the Finder, where we actually see our bubbles as a company, and we see it as this sort of a folder. And we call these folders clusters because they're just clustering actually some plan items together. And this is very, sort of typical for any kind of client or any kind of model. So this whole model is created within 2 hours with all the dashboards and all the numbers that you see in here, just so you can get some sort of a feeling of how long it takes to create something like this. And actually, as I click through here, we have some departments, some cash balance, some reports. And, I can always add any kind of a new cluster and just keep building something in it as a user, but I can also, when I build something in it, just transfer it somewhere, drag and drop it, and all the underlying numbers will automatically be transferred into this new position. So, everybody who's ever done or created a model in Excel knows what a nightmare it is to do things like this. And this really looks like a super simple concept, but, there's great sort of depth behind it, where, for example, if you have your departments here, and we have some sort of sales planning for sales department, obviously, and some costs. For other departments, we only do operating costs and employee cost planning, and we have some underlying numbers. You will notice this as I click here, the spreadsheet is changing, and basically you can imagine Farseer as sheets that have a hierarchy. So it's not like flat sheets that you have in Excel, and then you sort of connect them by picking coordinates from sheets or within a sheet and putting them in a formula. But rather here you create your structure in any way you like, in any order you want, and then the numbers automatically roll up. And we can see that here. So if I go to manufacturing, I have several costs here, and these costs are actually the final lines. And these lines are right here, and this sort of part is connected with this upper part. So if I go to digital tools, it will mark my digital tools. If I go to leasing, it will mark leasing. So every one of these spreadsheet lines is actually one object in the database, and the permissions and sort of these user access rights are defined on any of these levels. So you can define it here, or really mix and match what a certain person can see. And if I go to manufacturing, and if I just right click and go to share, I can share it with a particular user who can have read or write permissions. And then I can, allow them to enter or only view these numbers. And that particular user, when they log into their version of Farseer, they will only see this level of hierarchy, right? Only this model and everything below it. So it might look something like this. And now the end users can, just go into their part of the model. Let's say somebody from manufacturing can go in, and they can just start creating a plan. So this plan, actually here we see 2021, 2022. But if I want to create a detailed plan for 2020, maybe I will just switch here to 2022. I will just switch here to 2022. And now this is my focus. And also here on the timeline, I will add months, so I can have a good overview of my plan. And here some numbers have already been entered for good measure, but we can just delete this entire, let's say, consulting services, so you can see how the whole thing works. And this is actually a standard sort of a spreadsheet entering thing, where I can just enter numbers and compare them to actuals. So if I enter here on say yearly level, we can enter some number, I don't know, 8,000. It will break my numbers on a monthly level. So Farseer can work in both directions. It can work from left to right and from right to left. And if I change this here to 1,000, this here will change. And this is, quite a nice, neat set of tools that we have here. But also, if you have a certain distribution here, for example, if we have 1, 2, 3, and sorry, this was supposed to be 3, and if we have here a quarter, and if I want to enter on the quarterly level now, let's say for Q4, we have 1, 2, 3, and if I enter 60, it will just distribute the numbers while maintaining the distribution. This was a handy sentence that I just used, but you get the point, I hope, which is you can enter from here, it will add up here, and you can also enter on this aggregated level, and it will break down if you don't have anything in the row or you have equal numbers like you have here. Then the breakdown will be equal. If you already have some distribution like we had here and you enter on this aggregate level or this level, then it will use that existing distribution. And you can actually use all standard things that you would in a spreadsheet, just pull and copy, and you can right click and access all these tools that are sort of easy way to apply a percentage, set all the cells to some value, copy to the right 12 months, to the year's end, to the timeline end, same for left, and we can just, for example, apply 10% here, and that's it. And actually, it's a good timing to bring up versions, because versions are automatically supported in Farseer. So I now just added here plan and actual, and now I can see plan and actual on every level in the entire model. But I can also sort of do this custom approach and say, okay, I want to see several years, and I want to see, I don't know, actuals for 2020 and actuals for 2021, and maybe we just want to see it on a yearly level. And I want to see, I don't know, plan or forecasts for 2022. But then I can also add the calculations, or to see the difference between all the columns that I have here. And let's say we will pick only percent and pick this actual versus plan, and we can switch it around actually. So now it makes sense. And actually everything that you see on the screen can be exported into Excel. So depending on the level that you are positioned on, if I open this again, I'm back to my navigation, and I can just position myself on any of these levels and just do an export. And if I do an export, it will pull the data in a structured form in Excel if we need any further analysis. And I will take a little bit of water because I'm talking a lot. Talking about versions is a good opportunity to mention the whole sort of planning process. Let me move this because it's okay, good. To mention this whole planning process, because as you've seen, users can get their own part of the model, and then they can also have context, which is really important when you're doing planning. I actually want to see last year actuals, or my last year plan, or 3 years back actuals, because that helps me to make my plan much easier. And there's really no limits on the amount of data that you can have in Farseer. And all of that data can be managed from a central sort of administration point where the administrators can add several versions of the plan, multiple versions of multiple years, and then they can actually manage all of that in a way that they can plan one version of the plan to another. Say, if I'm starting my forecast, maybe I want to copy my actuals into my forecast version, but maybe I want to just copy my actuals, from a certain year, say 2021 from January, and 2021 till I don't know, September, which is probably the data that we have at this point. And if I copy data now, it will end up in this forecast version as sort of my starting point of the plan, and various combinations are possible. The administrator can sort of retire versions or just easily add new versions. And as you know, every version that is available here or green is the version that the end user can see, and the same for years, right? So if I go back and if we go to these versions, we can see this new version that I just added, which is called new plan, and we can just open it, and actually that's a super easy way to manage versions. All sort of bits and pieces can be also locked. So the administrator can, when they create a new version, for example, they want to do a forecast now for Q1 2022, they can create a new version which will be named forecast. They can go to 2022 and, you know, lock everything by just clicking this. So now all the months are locked for the end user, but I will just let them enter this January, February, and March for 222, and everything else, you know, they really don't have to touch at all. So if I go back and if we check this forecast version and go to 2022 and add months, you know, you can see that parts are just locked and users cannot enter any numbers. And this is sort of the process part, or basic bits and pieces of the process part. One additional thing that we are now building, and we already support this lightweight sort of process, is tasks and approvals. So you can, you know, in a complex organization where there's 20 or 50 or even 100 people planning, it's very handy to be able to create different tasks which you can do for any planning position, and you know, people can track sort of the status of particular task, to whom it was given and at what time. And you can also have this approval process where maybe I will create my plan for my volume plan for other markets, and it was in status in progress, as we can see here by this icon. And when I'm done with entering these numbers, I will just put it up for review, and the person that actually goes in can see this exact icon and has the right to approve it or actually reject it. So this can be done on any level, right? So this can also be approved, and maybe this will be rejected. So it's a very sort of visual way to look at your hierarchy and quickly assess the status of every sort of level here. And this kind of brings us to this version 3 of Farseer, because these are some of these things are features that we already supported in the previous version. But you know, now I would like to focus on the sales part and sort of show this changes that we made in version 3. And I think it's really interesting and exciting to show how this rapid modeling and automatic forecasting and top-down planning works. So I will ask you to switch your attention from this sort of boring cost planning to planning of our sales. And in this particular model, we plan sales by planning volume, right? The amount or the quantity sold of our products per market and per channel. And we have actually, as I click down through this hierarchy, we have these products here, or these product categories, and we have these products here. And actually, just, you know, a brief show on how this adding of this entire structure works. Actually, the backbone of the entire model is actually in this part, which is called tags. And this is our master data. So this is the first thing we do in any project. We just take the data from, you know, your, no, not that one. we just take the data from your GL, from an ERP system, or any kind of product sales report that you have, and we can actually just copy and paste that data into our tags. And here you can see actually everything that exists in the model, but this is sort of the unique version of it, the database, if you will. So we have our accounts, and these accounts have certain formulas, which means I only write them once. I don't have to write them every time I need to do a revenue in the model. I have one revenue, and my revenue is price times volume. And when I call on that revenue, depending on the product that I'm calling it for, it will exactly pull the price of that product and the volume plan for that product and calculate the revenue. Sorry. And here, yeah, we can see the things that you already saw in this spreadsheet part, which is channels, departments, markets. And this is really the heart of the system. And just to demonstrate that quickly, I will add a market. And if we add, I don't know, say we want to expand to Asia. If I add Asia here, and if I go back to the model, you will notice Asia here, right? And Asia did not only magically appear in all of the reports and all of the sort of planning positions in the entire model, but it also has the same structure like every other market, right? It has all three channels. It has all these product categories and all these products. And this is really the point of this sort of centralized modeling, bulk modeling, if you will, where I can just add the data once and it can then forever be invited to this sort of spreadsheet and the dashboard from this central place. And we can delete our Asia because we don't want to plan that now. We will plan for already existing markets. Deleted, okay. And we can now actually show how this entire planning of sort of volume and of sales works in the new version of Farseer. So besides the fact that you can just easily add anything to the model and that everything is sort of automated and goes very rapidly, in V3 we also added automatic forecasting, and basically it takes every one of these time series on this level, so bath bombs, bath oils, bath salts, body lotions, foot care, hand care, and based on the historical data that we already seen and that we have in the system in our actuals versions, let's just repeat. Based on those actuals, you actually, as a user, nothing special about it, you can just run this forecast by clicking this graph icon and saying, take historical data from 2020 January to 2021 October and forecast into the future from and to. And you can just say, what is your source version and what is your forecast version. And we picked here forecast because we already copied the entire actual version into the forecast version. But if we didn't copy already the actuals into the forecast through that mechanism that I showed a few minutes ago, doesn't matter, we would just pick actual and that's it. And you just have to say which part of the model are you forecasting. Maybe you don't want to forecast everything. Maybe, there's people in some markets that plan some costs for consultants or digital tools, and you don't want to forecast that. You just want them to enter normal bottom-up sort of approach number, and you can just forecast this volume. And actually that's exactly what we did. The forecast takes a few minutes. It's relatively quick, but it's not very TV to do it live. So I pre-did it. So we have here with these blue numbers, we actually got the forecast from the system, and we can go on any level and just change what the forecast gave us as a suggestion. So the forecast works, and I know the geeks among you will ask, it uses a combination of statistical methods and machine learning methods, and it chooses for every particular time series the method that has the smallest error. And it's not super precise, but it serves well as sort of a baseline for planning, and it's precise enough, right? Okay, I hear somebody screaming. Just Zagreb, I guess. No worries, we will continue where we left off. So yeah, I got these numbers. Me as a planner, you know, I definitely want to put something over that, because algorithms are never that smart. And that's the really cool thing that we do in Farseer. We offer the planners the ability to forecast any part of their financial plan, but we also allow them, because people always know better and they have the intuition and the market knowledge, to run over these numbers. And you know, I can just go on any level now, and this is the really that cool part about the top-down planning or multidimensional planning. And I can just change the numbers that I got by my forecast, and I can just, you know, go maybe on this level of B2B, entire B2B channel for Europe, and just do a plan for all the product categories and all the products below on one single place. So this is sort of the typical top-down planning, and everybody who ever had to do this knows this is a nightmare, and it just doesn't work in Excel. You cannot reverse formulas, which is exactly what we're doing in Farseer. We're reversing formulas. And if you do it in Excel, it's a lot of Excel and a lot of manual work, trust me. So, you know, what you can do here is actually go on, say, December 2022, we got some number, but we want to now change it for entire B2B, for all the products, for all the categories, because we know there's going to be some, you know, Christmas discounts or whatever. So we will sell more volume, and I will change this to 90,000. And as I change it to 90,000, now it's actually changing all the underlying numbers while maintaining the distribution that we got from our forecasting algorithm. So this is now changed. All things below are changed. And this is my top down, right? I can also go a level higher, and I can just top down all the volume for entire Europe. So it really depends on a particular user and their approach. But the cool thing is that you can do it in any order that you want to do it. But, you know, in the end, if I give some top-down goals as the management or the marketing or some sort of central sales department, whatever, the people on sort of lower levels that work with clients, that work in distribution centers, they probably know the details a little bit better than me, who just gives this number and says, you know, make it happen. But they really need to plan in details things like this, because they need to stock, right? Europe B2B needs to be stocked with all of these products. And if you overstock, you're bleeding cash. And if you understock, you're losing sales. So these are all really, you know, very, very crucial parts of planning. And as some demand planner on a lower level, I can go to these bath bombs in particular and just change them. But as I change the volume of bath bombs or any other number or an entire category, my goal of 90,000 that was distributed top down for December 2022 will be maintained. So if I put here, I don't know, let's put some crazy number just so you see how it works. If I put 50,000 here, all the numbers will recalculate to maintain this upper goal. And, you know, you can see all these numbers are now smaller. So it actually works as some constraint where you create a constraint on any of these levels and they propagate down. But then people who have permissions to enter numbers and change numbers bottom up, just sort of overflow them, and they need to come to some certain agreement. If the goal is 100, then 10 products need to divide those 100 in some sort of a way. So this is how top down works, and it's a really interesting concept, and I'm really looking forward to all scenarios that are coming to us on this particular domain. Okay, sip of water. It's a good actually switch. We finished our bottom-up cost planning. We did our forecasts. We did our top-down. We had several versions. We made some sort of an agreement of what's our main version. You can copy from one to other, and have this sort of consolidated single version that everybody believes in the end. And now what you have to do is actually just create reports, that can show some sort of math with your variables, and this can be anything. And here I will just show basic P&L report. We have revenue, and then below this revenue, we just did right click, right? So we did right click, and we just invited our product categories, if you remember from that master data, and we just got them here. So you can really quickly assemble reports like this with just a few clicks, and get here as well. We just invited this lower level, and every product category got immediately those that belong to them. So it's highly efficient way of creating reports. And I have also cost of goods sold, same principle. I have operating costs. So basically you just summon into your line here, into your flow, you just summon everything from the model, every line from the model that has this consulting services tag. So it's very, very efficient way of creating number reports. But then, if you pick up all the numbers in any order that you want from the model, you can also do math with those numbers, and we can switch to the plan version and just show quickly how formulas work in Farseer. Here we have EBITDA and EBITDA margin, and we have a formula bar, same like Excel. And this is just one example of formulas in Farseer. So here we're saying, give me all the lines from the model that have a tag revenue, that are tagged with revenue. Give me all the lines from the model that have the tag cost of goods sold, and all the lines that have tag operating cost accounts, and just subtract them from one another. And here we have the same. So it's very human readable, easy to create formulas, but also importantly, it's easy to read and to sort of control that there's nothing weird going on there. And we all know if we go into some sausage in Excel, it can get pretty messy. I lost a lot of nights in my life doing this Excel CSI, and I wanted to save myself and all the other people from this. So also with formulas, super neat feature. Users can get the number calculated by a formula, and you can allow them to go over that number. But if they delete their entry, the number that comes from the formula will automatically revert back. So there is no danger of some numbers just missing, and you don't even know that they're missing. So there's some millions missing in this sort of central report, but you have to really click through every planning Excel to see who forgot to enter something. So you can always get these baseline numbers, and then users can go over them. Another cool feature is that you can actually not show formulas to the end users. And I think people who worked in controlling departments in their life are now like, but in the end of the day, some normal planner that just wants to enter their numbers for their, say, bath products volume they don't care about formulas. They just want to get some table and they want to enter their numbers and get it over with. So these are just some of the functionalities that we use to maintain data integrity, because it's super hard to do that in Excel, and it gets exponentially harder as you're adding new users, new planners to your planning process. Any one of these reports that you create here as sort of these little folders or clusters that we call them, you can just invite them or call them on our dashboard. So this P&L is just added on the dashboard and shown as a table report that you can drill down into, same like you have it shown here. And basically this is sort of this main structure of the model. And just briefly to show a few functions, and then we will switch to importing actuals, and that will be approximately our wrap up when we switch to the end and just show dashboards a bit more. But this is just an example of a super simple cash balance model that we built here, and it actually calls revenue from every market, and you can actually see how Farseer language works. You've seen those human readable formulas, but we also built an entire modeling language, which actually looks scary, but if you just concentrate for 1 second, you will see that it's not. Because what is this formula saying? It says, give me all the revenue for current markets, which is Europe, right? So give me all revenue for Europe, and then delay that revenue for a month and a half. So people in Europe pay 45 days after we invoice them, and it's a good enough rule for us, sort of thumb rule to get some access of our cash flow. And this can be extremely detailed. We've built models where we have several categories of clients, and then every client is put to a certain category. It can be either way, but for these demo purposes, I didn't want to kill you. So this is a super simple one. For example, here we have the same, and we just can do different kind of time lag in our payment or days sales outstanding for different markets. And then we can calculate some net cash from operations. And this is, just to demonstrate that Farseer is not just P&L, it can be much more. So using these sort of Lego bricks, which are clusters, flows, and our modeling language. And let's not forget about tags, right, which are sort of the central data and the backbone of the model. You can really create super simple, but also extremely, extremely complex models here. So let's do an import. So you see how when everything has been planned and we did our sales plan, we did our cost plan, everybody sort of did their own little parts, like nice little ads that we are. And we have to check how we're doing with actuals and compare that sort of with plans. And we can go to import and just take our sales data, and I just pulled the sales data Excel. And two things about this import. So we did a lot of work in the back to enable any kind of import. So you can export the most horrendous ERP or accounting system export, and Farseer will, quite likely chew it and clean it and, make it, create a neat structure like this. You've probably met, these exports which have some empty lines, a logo of the company that created the ERP, all kind of madness there. So Farseer tries to clean all of that and come to the real data. And then second thing that I wanted to add regarding the import is that it actually recognizes all our model data after this initial mapping. So in the project, we just do initial mapping and we say what's what, right? We say your values from your import are this particular tag. And here everything is in blue. Our markets are blue, our channels are blue, our product categories are blue, our product groups are blue. And we see here we have value. So it identified quantity as a value, which is exactly right. And we have date recognized, and we can just actually do import by selecting version actual, right? Which is normally where actuals go. So I can just import it and, you know, put some description and save it, and I can see it on all the previous imports where I can archive it, replace it, or delete it, so I can manage all these imports on this sort of central part. Farseer can also be directly integrated with your ERP or accounting system. These are all, you know, standard project things that we already did, so it really depends on your needs. But this import is like a super quick way to import your GL and get really these kind of dashboards that I would like to close down. This whole demo sort of with dashboards like we started. And you know, we went through several of these, but you know, we can just show that cash flow, so you can connect the formulas with the images sort of, or the model with the images. And here we have this cash flow graph that shows that part of the model that I was just showing you a while ago, where we have our cash in, our cash out, and our net cash here. So we can also have plan compared with actuals and do all the standard things that are supported throughout Farseer. And you know, every user can just duplicate, share, and edit all of these reports. So it's really democratizing the planning process, and this is, you know, really democratizing planning data in general and enabling users to see their KPIs, to see how they're doing, and not just to see planning as this horrible folklore that they have to go through, but they don't understand the bigger picture, and they don't understand why this is necessary. So this is sort of our, you know, mission to make planning from something people have to do and dread from to something that people want to do. You know, we want them to own those numbers, to play with the numbers, to test different scenarios, and to see it in a really visual way, to be able to drill down, to see all the underlying data, and yeah, really be the owners and be the people who are responsible for what they planned for. So yeah, that was it. I think it's even a little bit over the expected time. I apologize. I can get talky when it comes to Farseer, but we have time for questions. So please put your question in the Q&A. We have a little bit of a lag, so I will just wait till I get some question, and hopefully I will be able to answer it. While we're waiting, just a quick reference to our website. We redid farseer.io, and we keep working on it. You have a lot of interesting blog posts that you can read. You can apply to our webinars. You can check how to become a partner for Farseer. And if you want to go into more detail, feel free to book a demo, and somebody from our team will be more than happy to hop on a call with you and really, you know, to dive a bit deeper into your particular case. Okay, I think we have something on Q&A. So the question is how much, okay, I'm screen sharing so you can see the question, but I will read it. How much historical data do we need to get a forecast? Not a lot, you know, if we have 1 year, that's already enough. So we don't need tons of data. Do you have any pricing options already? Yes, as a matter of fact, we do. Farseer is charged in a typical SaaS model. It's per user per month, and we give discounts for yearly payments in advance. And the prices range, depending on the number of licenses, of course, from 70 to 85 euros per user per month. Wow, this is a good one. What happens if we accidentally delete a part of the model? So everything is backed up. We are on Google Cloud, and we and Google have all these mechanisms to back up the data constantly. So you can always revert or revert that part of the model that you deleted back. And you know, you can also super easily build it back, as I've shown with these few examples. So it's never a big horror story, but always be careful with delete button, right? That's why it's red. Everybody's anonymous. Nobody wants to disclose their name. That's also interesting. No, I'm just kidding. I'm also always anonymous when I'm asking questions. Okay. Well, either way, I will slowly wrap up. If a question pops up, I will gladly answer it. And if I by accident cut you off and you really wanted to ask something, I will put my email in the chat. And you can holla anytime. Yeah, I don't know how to use Croatian keyboard, so let's switch to the US. Okay, so this is my email, and feel free to, no, sorry, this is only to hosts and panelists. My God, this Zoom is not easy. Here we go again. Yeah, so feel free to ping me or book a demo through the website, and we can go into further detail. Okay, these are sessions that we will be holding regularly, probably on a monthly basis. You will be notified. Thank you so much for being with us tonight. Oh, sorry, there's another question. In your experience, the no-code implementation requires a lot of resource from your side or client side. Well, it really doesn't require so much resources from either side when we grasp the model. So sort of the most intense part of the implementation is gathering all those Excels, going through them, understanding them. We ask a lot of questions during that time, and that is sort of the time that the client is the most involved. After that's done on regular basis, we just, you know, build super fast using these Lego bricks and show it to them. They test and they give us their feedback. So depending on the complexity of model and the size of the company and how fast they are in replying, I guess, you know, we have companies that we implement really in 2 weeks, from like first demo to here's your Farseer, start using it. But there's also companies that have, you know, 20 departments, plan for all the financial reports, have super complex projects with tasks, with these branches and trees. So it takes time to sort of grasp that, you know, as a consultant. So yeah, I hope that answers your question. If not, you can email me. Okay. Well, I think this was all for tonight. I don't see any new questions. Thank you, everyone. Join us again in a month when we will have some new features to show, and have a good night. Bye.